trying to get in a position here where I can see you and you can see me. Okay. If you are new to the channel, we create with all recycled materials, fabrics, and supplies. And if you are coming back, thank you so much for coming back. So yeah, we are getting ready for the Sustainable Fashion Show coming up next Friday. And I'm going to share a little bit with you, only because it really helps me, believe it or not, organize what I am doing when I'm talking out loud to you and sharing with you, and how I'm going about this. I'm going to grab my coffee and we're going to get to it. Okay, there's something about having a cup of coffee later in the day. So I'm going to share with you, just because it helps me to organize as I'm going along. So one of the things that I'm doing as a designer, I had given myself pretty much, I had to, of a timeline. It was pretty permeable. Like it could end a little bit before, a little bit after, but I gave myself a timeline saying, okay, all of the outfits, the main outfit, like where I'm sewing and cutting and stitching and doing the main event, let's say, is done, like right about now. And then the last week and a half, and ideally it would have been 2 weeks, but it's going to be the last week and a half, this next week, I am focusing on the designing with the accessories. So it's really nice because it really gives me time to test out and lay out designs. Now I'm going to tell you, I use the word permeable. When I was doing HR, I use that word all the time. I says, you got to keep things permeable. Let yourself change and think if you want, but be careful. It doesn't, like, you don't do a whole new program or a whole new event. Like, just keep focused on the main event. So what happened this past week is, I think I shared this with you, but I got these at the thrift shop, okay? I mean, look at the colors. They're gorgeous. I mean, these are, and they're 100% wool. I was reading the labels. They're from Peru. And in Peru, they raise sheep, and this is a specialty. I mean, these are gorgeous, gorgeous. Hi, Cameron. How are you? And Gina. Hi, thanks for being with me. So when I did a little test on how these might crochet with a little granny square, they came out beautifully. So I thought I might do a little bit more crocheting here for those of you who are not sure how to do granny squares and you want to know. So there's that type of crochet. There's a type of crochet where you're going to do the traditional stitching, but you're going to use the stitching in a very creative manner, okay? You can use crochet with a regular, let's say, piece of clothing where you're stitching around the edge of whatever it is. Let's say you want to crochet something like this. You want to add to the wrist part of this, the ribbed wrist part of this. You can stitch right around it, and then you can add your crochet stitches if you're a crocheter. Okay, so there's a number of things. This is, I'm just sharing these with you because this is kind of where I'm at. I'm going to get these here too. So this is tomorrow. I'll be jumping on here and sharing again with you, for those of you who do not know, how to do your yo-yo quilts. I'm going to share with you how to sew these so you have a really good idea if you want to make a yo-yo quilt or you want to make yo-yos and to just decorate a bag, or you know what, you can even make hair ties. Seriously, yo-yos, oh, you can make yo-yos, like I said, they go back to the 1700s in England. They were called rosettes. They had little beads, they had, you know, jewelry. They were adorned with a special, what do you want to say, embroidery. I mean, they went all out on these, and they were rosettes. We look at them and we say, oh, this is a very simple yo-yo, and we don't do anything else to it. There's so much you can do with them. Okay, so it's just how much you want to apply your own creativity. But yes, you can adorn anything. Now this is what they call drop stitched knitted sleeve. Okay, and this is something that I've been playing with for a long time. And you're probably going to say, well, Carmella, how did you do that? This was extremely simplistic. So look, I'm just going to try it. I'm just going to show you. It can go on like this, where this is really kind of dropping like that, or it can go on like this. So it doesn't matter. But look how that adds to, it's just a style, okay? It's a very raw, almost European, ancient, bohemian, vintage, whatever you want to call it. This is a style. So guess what? I have more of this yarn that I made that with. And you're going to say, how did you make that? Super simple. You see this right here? This was gifted to me by my son. And this is what you call a knitting machine. For any of you who have tried this, it's very, very simple. But the key is with these, that when you're doing this, when you're actually going around like this, and you're adding, you're knitting, okay? So the knitting is, and I'll show you this tomorrow because I'm going to be working with this a little bit, because I don't know if I really want another sleeve. I know exactly what I'm doing with this particular style and that sleeve. But when you add your yarn, if any of you have worked with the little knitting, this is little. This was only like $10 or $11, okay? And I believe, because my son kept saying, hey, you know, check out Temu. Hi, how are you? Hi, honey senpai and Cameron. Hi, thank you for being with me today. But this this yarn is it's not too thick. If you use a thick yarn on this knitting machine, guess what? It's not going to work. This, for example, is a medium weight, and this may not work. But this is a little bit lesser than a medium weight, and you may have to, and when you get your machine, like you can Google it and it will tell you, hi Jendai, hi, and Victoria, hi. So it will tell you really what weight yarn that would work really, really well with your knitting machine. But this is the thing. This is a small, and I have a small knitting machine. I have a large knitting machine. But I want to tell you, and this is just a tip, if you want to drop stitch like this, super easy, because guess what? The difficulty with these is not drop stitching. So when you drop stitch and you're like, yeah, I want to drop stitch, just let it do its thing. Seriously, it depends on the yarn. Some of the yarn will grab the teeth. These are called the teeth. Some of the yarn will grab the teeth and very nicely, and you'll be able to just kind of crank and crank, and you can make fingerless gloves, you can make little hats, you know, endless. So why am I telling you all this? Because this is where I'm at right now as a designer. Guess what? I am crocheting. Okay, I'm gonna bring you with me more tomorrow because it's late today, but I wanted to get on here for those of you who are interested. We will be crocheting. Oh, I can actually add this while we're talking. And so there's a couple things, and you're gonna be like, well, Carmella, what are you crocheting? This is what I'm doing, okay? For the designers who are out there listening to me right now, this is just a tip. This is what I'm doing. I am having ready to go a few different outfits. And you'd probably be like, well, what do you mean, a few different outfits? What I mean is that when I go to the show as a designer, and I know this because guess what? I actually did modeling. I didn't do modeling like high-end modeling. No. I went to, as a kid, I went to modeling school. And for the next 5 years, like I got modeling jobs, super easy jobs. Like with little stores, like hit or miss. And they'd give you some outfits as a way. I have experience being in the shows. And let me tell you something. The designers, they were right on because they always had extra. When you have extra, then you're like, you have a variety, you have a diversity to pull from. If you do not have extra, then you're in trouble. And then your model goes out there on the stage, and guess what? You have half the look of what you want. So always as a designer, and I'm not a professional high-end designer, but I know enough. I've lived long enough to know layer. In other words, bring more. Because maybe you don't use the extra accessories that you're bringing, but maybe because I remember this very distinctly. I remember the designers trying something on me and say, no. We got to put this on her. We got to put that on her. She's going to look better in this. She's going to look better in that. And they would do it, yes, very quickly, but they always had a backup plan. And that way they were getting the best look that they could get, right? I just lost my count here. I meant to do 3. You do, so what I'm doing is I'm going to lay out my sets of outfits with my accessories. I'm laying them out, ideally the way I want them to be. And then I'm going to have a variety of other accessories. For example, I'll give you an example. If I want a wrap or a scarf around my model, I will have a variety. I might have a short, long, medium scarf. Different colors, or maybe all the same color. For this right now, I'm making what they call I'm making fingerless gloves. I will have a variety of these. Do I want them on all of my models right now? I am not sure. I know 2 of my models that I want this on. So that is an absolute for me. Other accessories, okay, like hats, for example. Okay, so the hats, there will be different size. I know the sizes pretty much on how they fit. I got to pull this out because I was talking and I went in the wrong. It's okay. But the so for example, for a size small person, I've been making hats for over 30 years. So size small person is going to be about a 19, 20-inch diameter hat. I just know this from experience. So I will make sure that I have a number of smalls, a number of mediums, and a number of large. I want at least a couple of each. I want to be able to play around with how the hats look. And so for that. And let's say I'm bringing bracelets, I'm bringing necklaces. I want to have a number of those. And the reason is I may decide not to put a scarf on someone. I may decide that necklace just by itself looks lovely and complements the outfit beautifully. Now, what about bags? You're probably saying, well, Carmella, how many accessories are you going to have on everyone? Well, I'm not going to clamor them with accessories. However, there will be, I want a specific theme. I want certain, I'll have to explain it more after I get all my theme together, but I want, for example, each model will have something, how do I say, that is showcased, okay? I'll put it like that. And so for that reason, I am also working on props. So I am just tidying up right now the accessories. And anything I make right now, guess what? It's going to be a couple of hour project. Like this right now, I'm making some fingerless, a granny square fingerless gloves. For those of you who were with me last year, these fingerless gloves is one granny square, okay? I figured it out, and I didn't find it on a hack. I did it because I was looking for the hack, and I couldn't find it. And I said, well, why don't I just put it together? And so it's, yeah, this is going to be lovely, and I am very excited. So yeah, I will be making, also in my own way, I will be making statements, fashion statements, but I will be making statements. So all of those we will go over after the show, okay? Because I just missed the text is coming up, like the conversation chats are coming up fast. They're disappearing on me fast. So I don't know why that's happening. But anyway, I'm very, very, very excited about this. Okay, so if you do your granny square, when you get to your third row is where people usually get mixed up. I'll just stop and share this with you. Because on your third row, you have your middle spaces. That's where you're only going to do one set of 3. At least that's how I do it. And then on your corners, you always do 2 sets of 3 double crochets. And in between those, you're doing your chain 2. You need that because you need to make that space. You need to make the granny square larger. So this ultimately is going to be a fingerless glove that's going to come, it's going to be awesome. Okay, it's going to be awesome. So will I use this? I plan to use it. If I don't use it, that's okay. I actually will have my plan all together, and it may go absolutely accordingly to what I'm thinking, or it may change. And if it changes, it's going to be a positive change. It's not going to be, hi, how are you, baby Saja? And I missed it. Hi, everyone. Thanks for being with me today. So anyway, that's my big, big tip to the designers out there. I think some of you are out there and you're kind of tuning in because we've been promoting our sustainable fashion show coming up in Burlington for September 5th on here a few times now. And so that's my big thing. Designers who experience probably already know this. So like, oh, Carmella, you're not telling me anything new. Probably not, but you know what? There may be someone who gets something out of it. Let's say it like that, because as a designer, you know, it's experience over the many years of, let's say, going to a fashion, not fashion show, of going to, let's say, a show, art and craft, whatever it is, and not having enough of this and that. So now it's like, you best believe I have a whole bag of extras. And will they be my first pick? They may not be my first pick, but they're going to be quality and they're going to be nice, because guess what? I made it. And if I made it, it's gotta be okay, okay? And so anyway, I'm really, really, really excited. I had to jump on here. Hi, Kiana. How are you? How do you have neater crochet stitches without the yarn threading? Ah, awesome question. And that is exactly why I tested this. I got these at the thrift shop, and I nearly dropped when I got these. I knew this was high quality yarn right off the bat. 100% wool. Number one, you can block your crochet squares if you want. Neat. If you want neat. If you are worried about the thread, the yarn, I know exactly what you're talking about. You're worried about the yarn coming unraveled, and it will with a lower quality yarn. It will. I have bought the yarn both in a store and at the thrift shop, and I'm crocheting along, and it starts to, what they call, unravel. It starts to unravel, and it's the worst, because you know what? It slows you down big time. Look at this. This is not unraveling. This is gorgeous. You see that? It's gorgeous. And the reason is because this is spun and dyed in Peru. This is not, and this is 100% organic wool. This is, and what happens with wool is it hooks into itself. These strands, when it was spun, was automatically starting to hook into themselves. Okay, so they're not apt to unravel. If they are mixed with acrylic, synthetic, or polyester, or any of these, nylon, for example, these will unravel because it's not all wool. It's not all hooking together. That's why we have such a beautiful strand of yarn here. And again, this was at the thrift shop. And I got all 5 of these for $5, and I'm just beside myself because I was envisioning beautiful, beautiful colors to do a fingerless gloves for, to go with one of my aprons for the show. So anyway, look how gorgeous this is. And what gets me is that, yeah, it's high quality, but it's also bright. You see the color, the colors. Now I know I have let me just pull this. I want to pull these in the back so you can see the granny square, just a gorgeous. I mean, I can hardly talk when I get something like this. Now, like I said, this yarn, this heavyweight yarn, this is called a chunky. They even labeled this chunky. Look, they labeled it chunky. I would say medium weight, but this is not going to go well in one of these knitting machines. It's just not. Now there may be somebody out there who has one of those professional industrial knitting. I used to actually manage in a knitting manufacturing, believe it or not. And the machines were industrial, but guess what? The weight of the yarn, it could not be heavy. It couldn't even be for that. So for a little knitting machine like this, it's highly generic. but it works. You might want a thinner yarn. So check this out. I just pulled the yarn. Is that not gorgeous? I mean, look at that, and look at the colors. So yeah, if you want your block to be, if you don't know how to block, what blocking means, okay, what blocking means is you're going to take this, for example, you could put it on a piece of foam. Some people will go get a block, you know, with the nails, or like a piece of, what shall I say, a fiber block or a wooden block or something that's smooth, but foam, believe it or not, works totally fine. And you just take your push pins, okay? And you're going to pin the corners of your granny square, and or whatever it is you've crocheted. And hi Lita, how are you? So you're going, I'll tell you what yarn I use in a minute. Yeah. Right now, but one of those loose ends is on the right side of the square instead of the back. So okay, so let me tell you here. This, you're gonna pin, you pin the corners, and then you're going to take tepid temperature water and spray. You're gonna spray this so it's just a little bit dampened, and then you're just going to nicely, you know, stretch it onto whatever you have, a push pin, and let it dry. So people think when you do that, it gives it a crisper look. I have tried it, and it does slightly, but not to a point that I would rather just do that all the time instead of this. This is fine. This works beautifully. And yes, this is, someone was saying you have a loop over there. This is a loop because I didn't tie it off yet. So then when I go through my second, if I change colors and I go through again, you see here in the middle you have 2 spaces. So each of these spaces you'll do your 3 double crochets, 2 chain, 3 double crochets, and then you come here in your corner space and you're going to do your 3 double crochets, 2 chains, 3 double crochets, 2 chains, and you're going to go all the way around. The only time you're not doing 2 sets like this, these are your double crochet sets, is when you're in the middle there, and you just use the row before you as a guide. So I hope that helps. I just wanted to share that with you because I am also going to be doing more of these. These, as I said, these will be the yo-yos. So you see all different sizes. Okay, you see the 8-inch. When you see an 8-inch diameter, guess what? It's 4-inch diameter yo-yo. So we'll be doing those tomorrow. And we'll be doing our needle felted necklaces. So you're saying, well, Carmella, you're sharing like all of your fashion your fashion show outfits. I am. Because that's what I do on this channel. If I can encourage another designer or artist out there to kind of start doing their art again, so to speak, or to add to their variety of art that they already have, I think it's important. I love to learn the new skills. I think it just gives you a little bit more to work with as you're assimilating your own vibe. So with that, I hope that you're having a beautiful evening. If any of you have any, so I hope I answered all your questions. There were a number of questions on the crochet. One was about the loop, one was about blocking. Did I answer all of your questions? This is actually going to be a fingerless glove. And tomorrow I will jump back on here and I will show you. I'll have completed this one and start the next, and I will show you how to make it. It's very, very easy. And but it's all about the size, okay? It's about the size. And that's what I discovered just pretty much playing around with it on my own. Some people are taking 2 granny squares, making them, and then making the fingerless glove. You can do it that way. I do it with 1 granny square. So it's all about the size. So with that, I will be back on, excuse me, tomorrow to show you. I thank you for being with me tonight. I am, just keep creating. I'm so excited about this event because you know what? The future, it is creating with recycled materials, fabrics, and supplies. I honest to God believe that. If we don't, because we cannot afford, right, to have not just fields, miles of waste and 500 feet high, we can't afford that. We cannot afford that. So I think we, in our own little way, we can start to grow this idea. And then as it grows, maybe we have more businesses, more jobs in this industry of recycling in a way that we can use these materials to create. So with that, I hope you have an absolutely beautiful evening. Feel free to, my email, that's a fly I'm just trying to get. He's been in here a day or 2. Tonight's probably his last night in here. But anyway, if you have any questions, my email is on this channel, Echo Art with Carmella-T, or just put it down in the comments. I'm happy to answer. I love to do videos on answering your questions too, if need be. So with that, you have a beautiful evening, everyone, and I'll see you tomorrow. Love and light.